All right, let's talk about Salesforce Apex. If you're trying to learn it, you know it's easy to get lost in all the noise. So today, we're going to cut through that. We're drawing you a map, a clear, practical path that takes you from the absolute basics all the way to writing powerful, expert-level code. But before we write a single line of Apex, we have to start with the most important rule in the entire Salesforce universe: prefer clicks over code. Seriously, the platform is built on amazing tools like Flow, and your first instinct should always be to try and solve a problem with those clicks. Code isn't your first resort. It's the powerful tool you reach for when you've pushed the clicks to their absolute limit. Which, of course, brings us to the big question: when do you actually need it? Well, you pull out Apex when the business logic gets really complex. The stuff that Flow just can't handle. You need it when you have to chew through thousands or even millions of records at once. And it's essential when you're building custom bridges to other systems. Apex is for when you need to go beyond what comes in the box. So here's our game plan for today. We'll start with the big picture roadmap. Then we'll dive into the core skills you absolutely have to know. After that, we'll cover the platform's unique rules. We'll expand your toolkit with some more advanced stuff. And finally, we'll wrap up with what you need to master next. Okay, let's jump in. The secret to learning Apex and not getting completely overwhelmed is all about prioritization. So we're going to break this down into what you'll use constantly, what you'll use pretty often, and the specialized tools you'll only pull out once in a while. This way, you can focus your energy where it counts the most. Because here's the reality of being a Salesforce developer. You'll spend the vast majority of your time using a pretty small set of core skills. It's not about knowing every single feature. It's about getting incredibly good at the fundamentals. So let's start right there, with the stuff you're going to be doing day in and day out. This brings us to the non-negotiables. These are the foundational skills that are part of every single day for a Salesforce developer. Getting these right isn't just a good idea, it's the only way to build things that actually work and don't fall over. At the very heart of all of this, you've got two pillars: SOQL and DML. Think of it like this. SOQL is how you ask the database for information. DML is how you tell the database to change something, to insert, update, or delete records. Pretty much anything and everything you build will use these two constantly. And look, SOQL doesn't have to be intimidating. It's actually designed to be readable, almost like plain English. All we're doing here is saying, hey database, go get me the ID and name for all the accounts that are in the technology industry. It's simple, but it's incredibly powerful. Now, once you get data, you have to hold it somewhere. That's where collections come in. You have lists, which are just ordered lists of items, and sets, which only hold unique items. Both are useful. But the real game changer, the thing that separates the pros from the amateurs, is the map. Maps let you store data with a key, like a record ID, which makes looking up information later incredibly fast. Mastering maps is a cornerstone of writing good Apex. Next up, triggers. These are your automation workhorses. They fire off code whenever a record gets created, updated, or deleted. But there is a golden rule. A commandment, really. One trigger per object. You put all your logic inside a separate helper class that the trigger calls. Trust me, this keeps things organized, sane, and a whole lot easier to debug later. Okay, so you've got the basic building blocks. Now we need to talk about the rules of the road. Salesforce has its own very specific set of rules called governor limits. And honestly, understanding and working with these limits is what truly makes someone a professional Salesforce developer. If you only remember one technical term from this entire explainer, make it this one: bulkification. This is, without a doubt, the #1 concept to master. Why? Because Salesforce is a shared environment. Your code has to be built to handle up to 200 records at once, not just one. This is not optional. It is a hard requirement. And this brings us to the most common mistake, the absolute cardinal sin of Apex development: putting a SOQL query or a DML statement inside a loop. Don't ever do it. It will bring your org to a screeching halt. The correct way is always to loop through your records, collect the IDs you need into a set or a map, and then do one single query or one single DML operation outside the loop.
And this isn't just a friendly suggestion, the platform enforces it. In one transaction, you get 100 SOQL queries. That's it. So think about that query inside a loop. If you try to process 200 records, you just tried to run 200 queries. Boom. Governor limit exception. Your code fails.
And it's the same story for DML statements. You get 150 of those. These limits are precisely why bug patterns are not just best practice. They are a fundamental requirement for your code to even run in the real world. Okay, so once you've truly mastered those fundamentals and you're living and breathing the platform's rules, then you can start expanding your toolkit. This is where we get into some more advanced tools for handling complex jobs that might need to run in the background. And this is your cheat sheet for asynchronous Apex. For a simple fire and forget task, something you just need to kick off and let run, a future method is perfect. For more control, like chaining jobs together, Queuable is the modern, more powerful choice. And for the real heavy lifting, like a data cleanup on millions of records, Batch Apex is your go-to. It breaks the huge job into small, manageable chunks that won't break the system. So, we've covered a ton of ground. We've talked concepts, but how do you actually turn this into an action plan? Let's put it all together into something you can really follow. The good news is, this doesn't have to be some year-long ordeal. You can get a really solid handle on these core concepts in just a few weeks. In week 1, just focus on the foundations, the language basics, SOQL, and DML. Week 2, it's all about scale, bulkification, and security. In week 3, you can tackle async and basic integrations. And in week 4, you bring it all together by learning how your code plays nicely with tools like Flow. And hey, if your main goal right now is to land a job, this slide right here, this is your study guide. This is what interviewers are going to drill you on. They need to see that you can write safe, buckle-ified triggers. They want to know you can write smart SOQL. And they absolutely have to know that you understand Salesforce security. Who can see what, who can edit what. Nailing these topics shows them you're ready for a real production environment. So there you go, a clear step-by-step path from zero to being a confident, capable Apex developer. The roadmap is laid out for you. The only question left is, what will you build first?